Hello and welcome to another pop-up chat. If this is your first time joining me for one of these, it's just a fun, casual conversation with a friend from marketing Twitter because there are so many fun and interesting people and intelligent people that I've connected with on Twitter. And I think we all want to meet each other one day in person. But until then, why not just have these conversations and meet virtually? So today, my guest is Adrienne Sheares Jackson. Hi,
Hello, everyone.
Adrienne. So happy you're here. As I've
I'm so happy to
mentioned,
be here.
there's no agenda for these chats, but I know we've bonded over a couple things already. One of which has been the Spice Girls and pop culture. So before we get into your background and all the amazing things about you, I want to know about your love of pop culture and kind of who were your favorites growing up. Let's geek out over that for a second.
So I was obsessed with the Spice Girls.
Oh my gosh.
It was so funny. I was a part of you remember spicegirls.com, and you could go in the chat room and I would just be on there probably talking to pedophiles. And they were
Oh God.
pretending to be a part of the Spice Girls. So I thought I was really talking to like Posh Spice. And my parents were just so concerned because they're like, should we let her know that?
You
And
turned
then
out
one,
okay.
and then one day their AOL got disconnected, and I was devastated and waiting for them to
Oh.
come back. So probably the FBI locking them up for talking to a 10-year-old. But I fell in love with the Spice Girls. My favorite was Posh
Ooh,
and
good choice.
Sporty Spice, depending on
Mhm.
my mood. I loved
Got
Sporty
it.
because I loved sports and everything when I was little. And I loved Posh because I thought, she just looked so cool and
Yeah.
sophisticated. And so it was my favorite. And then generally for, I think it was fifth grade, um, we had a lip sync night. And I wonder if I can find this picture. Dressed up as the Spice Girls. So I was scary. My mom like poofed up my hair, and
Mhm.
then we had a redhead ginger, and she had like I think her mom was from England, so they draped a little flag around her. So it was so
So
funny
fun.
because my dad was like, this is 1997. He's like, do you think like 20 years from now, anyone's gonna even know who the Spice Girls are? And as you know, that's the same year they had that tour.
Mhm.
And so I was actually kind of sitting here like, if once I'm vaccinated and the world opens up, I don't care where they're having a concert. I will come to England. I have never seen them in concert, and it
Me
is
neither.
my joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Spice Girls. Um, I loved Britney Spears. I actually pretended not to like Britney Spears because I wanted to seem like I was above it, but
Yeah.
I had all her albums
Don't
and
deny it.
Practice
Can't
Her
deny it.
Hits. Well, now I'm like secure in myself, so I'm like fine.
Uh-huh.
But when you're like 12, you're trying to find what's cool and what's not. So
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
a Britney Spears fan. I liked Christina Aguilera because I felt like she was moody like me. Like she just, she wasn't gonna be smiling all the time. And I was like, same.
Yeah.
And then Destiny's Child, I discovered them.
Mhm.
Um, I discovered them by watching Smart Guy on Disney, and they had, if you guys don't know, it's a gem of an episode, and it is on Disney Plus. Of um, TJ is a tap dancer or something, and his sister is auditioning to be a background dancer for Destiny's Child.
Mhm.
And so then Destiny's Child come, they see this cute little kid, they decide they don't need dancers, they just need him, and they want him to come on tour with him and with them, and then he takes them to the school dance, and Beyonce is just so wonderful. And
Still
so
perfect even
I
back
didn't
then.
even know how to say Beyonce. I thought her name was Bianca for like a year. Um, and I was obsessed with Destiny's Child. I think for my high school yearbook, I got most likely to follow Destiny's Child on a bus or something. Like
Oh my
I
gosh.
was obsessed with them. And I'm
That's
still
a
obsessed,
good
but not
honor.
as obsessed.
I had no idea that they were on Smart Guy. I feel like that's definitely a stepping stone for all of those groups. Like Britney was on Sabrina the Teenage Witch, so were the Backstreet Boys. I feel like you had to be on like some little random sitcom.
I mean, it worked
A
because
stepping stone.
I had never heard of them
Mhm.
before, and this
Mhm.
was right before Writings on the Wall. So because of that, I
Yeah.
bought the album because I was like, oh,
Mhm.
those are the girls that I saw. And even though I didn't like Writings on the Wall to maybe a year later. I felt like it was a little more mature than I was probably ready for. But of course, I
Mm,
liked Jump In, Say
yeah.
My Name, because everyone was like, "Who's these new people?" But
Mhm.
I think it was like maybe when I was like a firm teenager that I was like really could appreciate Writings on the Wall.
Yeah, yeah. That's the first thing I'm gonna do when we hang up is go look up that Smart Guy clip
It's a
on
great
YouTube, and if
episode.
not, I'll get it on my Disney Plus.
I wish I could tell you the exact episode, but it's
Yeah.
there. It's there.
Shouldn't be too hard to find. I have a Destiny's Child fun fact, but if you're a big fan, you probably know this, but I knew it and then forgot it, and then I realized it recently that Kobe Bryant is in the Bugaboo video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I, like, completely forgot about that until last year, unfortunately,
Yeah,
you know,
he was in everything. He was in Moesha, he was on
Sister
Sister
Sister.
Sister. He
Yeah.
was on, and I love the stories that everyone tells because they were like he was so nervous and wanted to
Oh,
do like a good job. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Wow. Again, maybe it's a stepping stone, to fame for athletes too. You gotta appear on a sitcom. That's how you know you've made it.
mhm. Mhm.
That's awesome. Well, I have to say you look fabulous today. Uh,
That is because of
loving
you.
Oh, goodness, loving the lipstick. So what brands are you into right now? I saw you did a Sephora haul
So the
with
fun thing
Instacart.
is, I did the Sephora haul, but I actually ended up not wearing the Sephora haul.
That's okay.
I'm obsessed with Lip Bar. It is a vegan lipstick, black owned, black woman owned.
Yes, I've seen them on
Um,
Shark Tank.
they're in
Yeah.
Target now. I think it has
Mhm.
to be like a Target that's black though, because it's not in all the Targets. But it is in Target,
Mhm.
and but their online is great. So I literally they have the purples, the pink. They have this lip gloss that I'm just running out of. Actually, this is the lip gloss. I'm not wearing this, but
Yeah.
it's called Boss Lady, and so they had like an entrepreneurship challenge on Instagram and
Oh, I love
wear
that.
Boss Lady and talk about your business. So
Mhm.
I freaking love her. So that, and then my haul over here
Yeah.
was while I was doing my hair, literally arrived. So I'm obsessed with NARS. It
Mhm.
stays on forever. And then, of course, Fenty
Of
lipstick.
course.
And then, like, a little spray. But I don't, the one thing about the pandemic is you really don't, or at least I don't really wear makeup during the pandemic, but I just put a lip on to make it
Yeah,
easy.
yeah, you have to, you have to. Well, Lip Bar, they on Shark Tank, they didn't get a deal.
Nope.
They thought they weren't gonna go anywhere, that no one would wanna wear. I mean, they really leaned into, like, the weird colors thing or the untraditional colors, like the blue they have blue lipstick and everything, but I
Yeah,
don't
I
know, they
think
didn't
they
think it
don't. I Shark Tank, I like watching, but I you can just tell when they don't know the
Mhm.
market because I think there was another girl, I think it was Curl Mix or Curl Box, who like specialized in just making your hair curly and simple and whatever. And so they're
Mhm.
just like, why wouldn't you just straighten it? But they are not realizing there's a whole segment of women like myself. I'm not waking up and straightening my hair.
Yeah, yeah.
So same, like
Yeah.
I love Bright, and what I love about their website is you see all different women, different races, different color tones in the
Mhm.
same lipstick, and it looks good on everybody. I
Yeah.
don't know how they do it. I don't know what that underlying magic is,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I've never had a real color that I didn't like from them.
Yeah. I don't know if they're in Ulta yet, but I thought about them yesterday because I saw an article saying that Ulta is committing, I think they said they want 50% of their products to be from Black-owned businesses.
Oh, yeah, I saw the
So
$25 million investment, and
yeah.
I
Yeah.
would if I low key if they came in Sephora or Ulta, it would like change lives because
Yeah.
they're great, but they're kind of small. And then because
Yeah.
the packaging can be opaque, I don't know I'm low until it's too late. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
no.
Crisis. Well, good for them because yeah, because Shark Tank, I remember they said, I think it was maybe Mark Cuban, he was saying if women wanted to wear blue and green lipstick, they would have already done it already. CoverGirl would have done it, or Maybelline would have done it, or if they wanted these weird colors. Um, but they're doing it. And I love that like entrepreneurial angle that they're really leaning into and like kind of the boss vibes and all of that.
Yeah, it's
Super
it's very
cool.
fun.
It's kind of ownable for them. So speaking of boss ladies and cool stuff like that, I want to hear about your work life and your business. First, I want to say that I love your website.
Oh my God, thank you.
It is so good. I just feel like it's bursting with personality. Like it doesn't feel like just another templated personal website, like from your colors to your photos to your voice. Like I feel like I really get to know you. So
Well,
thank
thank
you for
you, because I love your website as well. I was
that.
actually looking at it the other day, like, oh, you need to do like that. But it's funny. I haven't really promoted the website yet, but people have clearly found it. So
Yeah.
I've actually gotten a few inquiries. I'm like, oh no, how did you find me? But because it's on the web, internet works. But yeah, so I'm Adrienne. I've been in social media or some form of it for probably, I guess, over 10 years now. Can't believe that. Got
Yeah.
my start like most people, being a college student and older people not wanting to learn social. So my background was in PR. I was
Mm.
a women's studies major at Spelman College, and you can see my picture in the back.
Ah, love that.
So I graduated during the recession, and so I had
Mm.
done like a so for those who don't know, like Spelman at the time that I was there, you were either going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, engineer.
Mm.
So, I was just kind of there, to get an education. And I thought I
Mm.
wanted to be a lawyer for a while. Um, then somehow I learned about HR. And so,
Mm.
because I didn't think I was that great at math, I was like, cool, I'll do HR. Not even really knowing what it was. But when the recession hit, I couldn't get a job in HR to save my
Mm.
life. So I went to this seminar that's like, if you're an English major, I was women's studies, but I was also English minor. It's like
Mm.
English major, need a job,
Yeah.
come here. So I was like, will do. And so it was all these PR firms like Ketchum.
Ooh, I've worked
This
with Ketchum, yeah.
Okay, Ketchum was there, Edelman was there, and a boutique, woman with her own was there. And so I'd
Yeah.
never heard of PR before. And so I'm like, oh, this sounds, they're like, you need to be a strong writer. You need to be, I'm like, bet, love it.
Yeah.
So of course Edelman and Ketchum like played the crap out of me because I had no idea what PR was, no experience of any kind
Mhm.
in PR. But the boutique lady thankfully gave me a chance,
Wow.
despite me not knowing what PR was in the interview. The
Uh-huh,
interview,
uh-huh.
I
But
was
you
like,
could write,
I was
so
like, I don't know, but I can learn. I'm like, maybe I
yeah.
should have looked up the definition before I came here, but whatever. And so she actually let me lead my first Twitter campaign, which is horrifying. And to say campaign, it was a golf tournament, and I think I
Mm.
just simply wrote the date and time of golf tournament, and that was the campaign.
Done.
Because I also didn't know what Twitter was, so she was
Right.
explaining this is 2009, so this is even
Mhm.
before like Black Twitter was a thing.
Mhm.
Um, and it moved really fast. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it is today. Like you would miss a tweet.
Yeah.
And so this thing is just going by, and she's explaining like strangers will talk to each other, and I'm just like, what? Because if you remember, like Facebook is you have to know them. The
Yeah.
concept of some random person, I was just like,
Brought you back to your Spice Girls days in the chat rooms.
right. But I was just like, what is this? And
Yeah.
so she's like, people will retweet it and it can go viral. So I was like, okay. So I do this tweet, and I'm just sitting waiting for the magic of Twitter to happen. So thankfully I
Uh,
got better, and I did my master's of communications at Johns Hopkins because of the recession, and I needed something to do.
mhm.
So surprisingly not, I did not specialize in digital. I specialized in media relations, but whatever. But towards the end, I really got into digital, and I launched a tweet up, I Heart Social Media DC, kind of similar to marketing Twitter, but
Yeah.
DC.
Mhm.
So we did events with, and we would get Google or Uber, whoever an agency to kind of sponsor it and give us food and speakers. And I
Mhm.
had a social media tapas. So you kind of sat at a table and you would learn about like ROI. And then the
Mhm.
next table is like community management. And so it was
Oh,
just like
fun.
whatever little tapas you wanted. So it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Kinda like speed dating, but you learn something.
Yeah. And so the speakers would just kind of rotate. So you just
Yeah.
so it was a lot of fun. And because it was like a table of 8, you actually got to do that. So I really now I do consulting. I have a company called Vivi May Labs, which is named after my great grandma Vivian
Oh.
and my grandma, Aura May. I learned she actually doesn't like the May in her name, so my bad. But basically, it really represents the richness and history that brands have and the personality. And the labs
Mm,
part is me kind of making it for the digital.
yeah.
So I mostly work with not like well-funded, I'll put well-funded nonprofits,
Mhm.
not broke nonprofits because I have bills. So nonprofits, education, technology, startups. I do a lot of B2B. I actually love B2B.
Hmm.
I used to work at Cision, so doing PR for a PR company confused a
Mhm.
lot of people. And they're like, why don't you just use the software? And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
because someone has to do something in addition to the software.
It's
And I
confusing.
did social media for Issa Rae, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl for 2 years. And it's actually, I didn't realize it's the 10-year anniversary of the show. So she's doing a big thing
Mhm.
today. And starting this year, and I've been talking like for a long time,
No,
um,
fascinating.
but starting this year, I'm actually pivoting a little bit. I'm still working with businesses. I do a lot of white labels. So, like, if you had an agency
Mhm.
that was specialized in one thing, but you needed help with social or data or reporting, I would come in and help or lead that aspect of the project. But really, what's happened, at least for me, I have been off Twitter for years and came back towards the end of last year.
Mhm.
Um, really, because I just got burnt out with social media, which is another reason why I moved to the analytics portion, because I just couldn't do the day to day anymore like I
Mhm.
used to.
You're talking
So
about for your personal brand or just even with your clients, you were kind of like
everything. So
yeah.
generally, it's really a lot of back end number crunching, and people tend to like it because I was in the social media trenches. So when I make recommendations or insights, social media's tend to like it because I know how long things take. I know what's realistic, and I know what language to use if they're not math people versus others. The reason why I got hired in, I guess, this career change was actually by complete accident. I did not like numbers
Yeah.
until I had one crazy boss. And so I realized numbers were great at pushing back and being like, this doesn't make sense.
Mm,
And
kind of that
so,
evidence, yeah.
yeah, the evidence. And so I had lost my job, and a recruiter reached out for an agency that I always wanted to work for, but it was for an analytics role. But I was like, I'll just go to the interview and they'll figure out like they've made a terrible mistake and be like, we actually want you on the social media side. But they
Mhm.
kept bringing me in rounds, and then they did like a
Mm.
math test. So I'm like, all right, this is when the jig is up.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get the test, and I'm just like about to email like, you, I'm sorry, you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. And then I'm like, okay, Adrienne, what on here don't you understand? And it's like, nothing. I understand everything on here. So, taking it bit by bit. And the reason that I actually got the job is because they put a chart on there that didn't add up to 100%. It added up to 102%. And I was the only one who caught that. So they were like, wow.
Oh.
So it's like, wow. And so my parents were like, wow. And and I fell in love with it. And that's really my bread and butter. And I also do influencer relations and other things.
Mhm.
But the reason why I'm sharing all this with you, pivoting. So one of my clients I'm actually helping right now, I'm doing like a SOS for social media managers,
Mm.
basically helping them get out the bullshit of their job.
Yeah. But I've noticed
Through
you tweet about that a lot, like, kind of, like, making sure that social media managers are being treated the way they should be treated and
you
to
know
weed all of that out, you know? It's a good conversation to have.
Yeah, so basically I'm super excited because I'm helping this team better tell their story internally so that they can get more support,
Mhm.
helping with measurement and things like that so they can back up like, no, we're not doing this because it's a lot of work for no reveal, and then helping them also, set boundaries. So I'm super excited because if I can help them, I will share the story with y'all. So probably
Yeah.
apply to you guys. So stay tuned. I'll probably tweet out something. I think I've been working on like a newsletter thing.
Mhm.
So once that's up, I'll let you guys know, and then you guys
Sounds
can get these
good.
tips for free.
Oh, we love that. Let's
Um,
see.
but yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing.
I love it. I love that initiative. Yeah, please share a thread or a newsletter, just something about what you're learning from that. I think that's something that a lot of organizations need and should do.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Like it's especially I wish I had known about this or known other people when I had really first started, because I was just really taken advantage of like so many other people.
mm,
But the thing, I didn't know better. I
mhm.
didn't know, now half of the things my body, I would have been like, we're not doing we're not doing this. But
Well,
I didn't know it was like my first job. So I'm like, okay,
oh,
sure.
I know. I love your idea though about just using the numbers to prove that something isn't the route to go in, or even if you entertain that idea for the first time and it flops, like you can go back and say, "Hey, I did what you wanted me to do, but here's why it didn't work and here's why I didn't think we should have done it in the first
Right.
place."
And then you can
But
also say, this could have done better if I had X, Y, and Z, and if I had
mhm.
more time. So then
Mhm.
that's also another thing of getting what framing it like this is success for both of us. I want your thing to do well.
Yeah.
Here's what I need. Versus, I think before in my work and other clients' work, it's reactive, and then they just feel like you're not trying to help them. And I realized we have so much knowledge and we understand things so well, but there's a million things going into my head and then I give you an answer, but you're not aware of what's going on in my head.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. You're armed with those numbers though to help you have those conversations. I love that. Joe Ray says 2009 Twitter was almost just sending texts to people who follow you.
I
Pretty much.
loved 2009 Twitter, but I will say my Twitter, I sunsetted that Twitter and launched a new Twitter in 2010.
So what would you say what do you wish you knew about Twitter in 2009? And I guess what brought you back and decided to give it another chance? How did you fall back in love with Twitter?
How did I fall back in love with? I mean, it was really like you guys on marketing Twitter. So I think my largest problem with Twitter, or at least my universe on Twitter, is it just really had changed. So I used to blog like everyone. Who were you
Mhm.
in social media if you didn't have a social media blog? No. So I had my social media blog like everyone
Rite of
else.
passage.
Right. And I would post, stuff, and I'd ask questions and people would just respond.
Mhm.
But I think around 2014, maybe 2016, definitely, that completely changed. It was just links of people tweeting their link. It was
Mhm.
no conversation.
Yeah.
And it was just quite frankly depressing. And then I'm not going to lie, I just didn't feel like it was a safe space for Black women because they're
Mhm.
just being swarmed and swarmed for voicing their opinions. I was like, that's not something I want to be a part of. So
No.
I kind of strictly stayed on Facebook, but within my Facebook home of, my college friends and all that stuff, and
Right.
kind of filtered out any, unfriended anybody who was talking craziness.
Yeah.
So with the pandemic is really why I came back, is 2020 I really wanted to meet more people and network, because especially with freelance,
Mhm.
I tend to be in the work,
Yeah.
which is good for the client, but not so good for me, because once it's over,
Mhm.
people don't know what I'm doing. They don't, if you're out of sight, out of mind, and it can be lonely. So I wanted to meet people and also find people to partner with, because like I'm not editing a video, so I want to find someone who I can hire to edit that video that I'm not editing, or
Right.
but I'm like, I'm also have trust issues, so I don't want to refer to people I don't know and all that stuff. So it's
Mhm.
like a chicken and egg. So once Christina tweeted like and I had kind of hopped on and off marketing Twitter a little bit. I think I found social media Twitter first. And so
Mm.
like I found a few people that like seemed cool. But then I think once the marketing Twitter infamous thread of less than 1,000 followers,
Yeah.
I started following those people on, the thread. And then they started following me and I was like, oh,
Friends.
okay. And then
Mhm.
I'm tweeting and my information's new to them. Their
Mhm.
information's new to me. So now we're having a conversation. I'm like,
Yeah.
ah.
Yeah.
This is like how social media started.
Look at us being social. Yeah. Not just sharing links.
Not just
No,
sharing links.
I
Like,
love that. Like,
and
that's I think why I love Twitter too, is I feel like compared to every other social media platform, it's truly where conversations are happening. Like the way you can see threads, like even to have a conversation on Instagram and to comment, like it's painful. The dialogue is it's not a priority over there. Whereas Twitter, it really is about what people are saying, not like the photos that they're showing. So I feel like, especially in a pandemic, when we're not going out and seeing people and having that social interaction, we're still wanting to have great conversations with people.
yeah, I'm really hoping, like, whenever we're free to go out into the world again, which is looking like never. But
Gosh.
one day they
Mhm.
tell us we'll be able to safely go out.
Yeah.
I really hope that we continue, because I've been meeting people um via Zoom,
Mhm.
for marketing Twitter, to have one-on-one
Yeah.
conversations. And so I'm just hoping once, people can see like their real friends and like their
Yeah.
real colleagues again, that they don't be like, why are you
Forget about
messaging
us.
me?
Yeah. I've wondered that too. Like, okay, when people go back to work, are they still going to join Pop Chat? Is this just going to die? I don't know. I hope not.
I hope not.
Lucky Lou says all of us who work on client social can fall prey to letting out or letting our own social channels lag. Yeah, that seems to be a common thing. Any advice there? Like, did you feel that burnout just from working on client stuff and like you
Yes.
didn't have any
My
energy or to
The
work on
last
your
thing I
own?
wanted to do at the end of the day was social.
Mhm.
And I think it still hasn't changed. I think now, there's a purpose to it. There's a community. Like, I love, the people that I've followed, and, y'all's newsletters. And so for me, I've been working with a coach this year, which has also been helpful. And she was just like, if you don't want to be on it, don't be on it. And so I was like,
You're onto something.
revolutionary thought. So I'm
Yeah.
not on Instagram. Like, I
Mhm.
have an Instagram, I have a blog Instagram.
Mhm.
I'm not keeping
Yeah.
that. It doesn't bring me joy. Twitter brings me joy because I love learning. That's probably why I have so many focuses with
Mhm.
my clients. Like, I don't just do X, because I genuinely do love reading and learning and rising to challenges of different industries. And I think Twitter's similar, of I can read and learn and, see takes from so many different people,
Mhm.
versus the other social networks don't really give that for me. Like, I'm not, even though I love Sephora, I don't watch beauty tutorials. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not, because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the hair
Mhm.
tutorial. I'm not doing the food tutorial. I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah.
I love reading and I like news, and I call Twitter like the ugly people social network. I love that my face doesn't have to be all there. It's just my words,
Right.
with some
Right.
emojis.
Mhm.
So I do schedule my tweets. I know people are like, I would never, if I don't schedule them, it's not going out. And also, because if I'm on Twitter
Mhm.
and then I see the notification, I'm coming back. If I'm coming
Yeah.
back all the daggone time, I'm not getting work done. So
Mm.
so I actually, like, middle of the night,
Mhm.
um, Sunday, random days, I just write a bunch of notes and then
Yeah.
I just throw them in buffer. And that also helps with my imposter syndrome, because some of the tips I've actually held, but then I
Mhm.
forgot I scheduled them and they went out
Yeah.
anyway. And, people were like, this is helpful. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Because I would
You
have
know
never let that out. And because I forgot it was in buffer,
yeah, you
it went
forgot to
out.
put it,
And
yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. So,
That's a good process. I wish I had that restraint. Like, I'm not one of those people that keeps stuff in my drafts. Like, if I write it and I like it, I have to put it out in that moment because I'm like, I need the dopamine. Like, this needs to go now. I don't
well, if it's
hate
something
to
really, like, I'm just like, yes. But if it's just
yeah.
like, this is a point that could go out
Right, right.
anytime, I'm
Mhm.
just gonna.
Well, that's a good tip to help our friend Lou from Seattle. But yeah, I know that that's a thing a lot of us feel. Um, I've always thought that, it can get a little bit easier if you don't view your own social media as like a time where you have to like drop everything you're doing and come up with these like profound thoughts, like, and sit down and draft these creative ideas where you have complete focus. It's almost like just documenting things you're doing throughout your day, little light bulb moments you have in a meeting or a conversation you had with someone in that moment. Just like jot it down, put it out in that moment, shortly after it's over, the second you think of it, instead
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh, I just got home from work. Now I have to work on my Twitter, or whatever the
Right.
platform is. But I don't know. I'm starting to feel the pressure. Like, am I am I doing enough on other platforms? Like, I'm starting to feel, oh gosh, do I need to do something on Clubhouse now? My TikTok's not consistent. Twitter is the only one where I feel consistent. So I'm starting to have that
Uh-huh.
doubt.
Yeah. I
God, am I?
think
Mm,
I just do by percents. Like
mhm,
where do you get the most value? And that's really how I made the decision. Like people don't come to me
mhm.
for business or otherwise through my Instagram.
Right. Right.
So if that's the case, why am I gonna
How
break
come?
they come through Twitter. So that's where
Right.
I'm gonna put my eggs in. I'm playing around with Pinterest, which
Mm,
seems like a good place for me because I don't have to update it every day. So that sounds like
yeah.
a social network after my own heart. So that's that. Um I'm thinking about LinkedIn. I don't enjoy LinkedIn because there's
Yeah.
all this spam waiting for me. So I
Right.
think for me, I just look at it as a social media person. I'm on the social network so I can see what people are doing,
Mhm.
and kind of understand what's going on so I can make recommendations.
Mhm.
But I think that's the power of marketing Twitter. Like if someone's really great at TikTok and a client needs someone on TikTok, I'm gonna hire that person
Yeah.
to consult on the TikTok. Like I'm just like,
I'm calling Devin Machete.
right, like I'm here to pass money around. Like
Mhm.
we ain't gotta do everything for
Yeah.
everybody. So I think that mind frame change for me made the
Mhm.
pressure go away because I was able to look at it as who's coming to my site, who's
Yeah.
actually gonna hire me, who is
Yeah.
actually gonna partner with me. All those people are all on Twitter. So
Yeah. That was my big epiphany as well. Like, I just felt like Instagram, I was just talking to old high school friends and and acquaintances. Like, this is not where I'm having the conversations that I wanna have.
mhm.
Um, Lou says we need to strategize ourselves just like we do for our clients. I know I
Yes.
should. I know I should.
That
Interesting.
I agree because I think that's kind of what my coach pushed me to do because
Mhm.
I had an IG live series. It was like one of my goals to like step out of my comfort zone.
Mhm.
So I guess kind of similar to this, but IG, and it was really the theme was just getting your shit together, and
Yeah.
it was just different people like authors, entrepreneur. Just I wanted a wide variety of people because it's a common theme like
Yeah.
getting your shit together. It was on IG. I don't necessarily like IG, and my audience
Mhm.
isn't on IG, but I just felt like I should be on IG so I can say I was on IG. And my coach was
Yeah.
like, "So why would you do that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"You're right.
Yeah.
I didn't strategize that well, but I think that
Yeah.
point is absolutely correct. We need to strategize for ourselves."
Yeah, and prioritize the platforms that you're getting the most out of, and that
Yeah,
are the most efficient for you. Yeah, that's reassuring.
and
So
I think
more points for Twitter. I'm just gonna stay
more
where I
points
am.
for Twitter. And I think the last thing that helped me is treating it differently than my client sites. So for me, I get so annoyed because like my best tweets that like everyone retweets 2 days later, it's like, oh, there's a typo there.
Mm,
It's just
that
like,
happens, yes.
and it's and so before I would delete the tweet because I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't have typos and stuff on my crap. And maybe I shouldn't.
Mhm.
However, someone pointed out because I was like, why do these do so well? And they were like, because you're probably going with your gut and using passion. And that's what we're responding to versus the really edited thing that you posted out. And I was just like,
Mm.
that's a good point. I'm telling you, marketing Twitter, they're just so wise.
We get a lot out of it. They're teaching us things
They're
for
just so
sure.
wise. Yeah.
Um, Lou, I love all the commentary.
I
Thank
know.
you.
Here.
Instagram and TikTok are where I keep up with
Yeah.
internet culture. As strategists, we should be listeners. Yeah, I would
Yep.
agree. That's where I do most of just my lurking, and I'll post occasionally, but yeah.
Yeah, I think me and my husband, we actually thought of TikTok videos, so We're gonna do
Oh,
it.
please share it on Twitter as
I
well.
will. And I'm trying to get him to do, he's not in marketing at all. He works in government, but he likes to cook a lot. So he had a little Instagram cooking show on like New Year's Eve, just
Yeah.
randomly. Like I'm asleep and I hear him talking and cook. And I'm like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
And I come and he's like, you're interrupting my show. I was like, my bad. So I'm trying to get him to take it off Instagram and go on TikTok. So I'm like, with the
Yeah.
algorithm and people are looking for, I think you'll be, you'll get a lot of people who are interested.
Yeah,
But I'm
I
also trying
love
not to force people to market things if they just want to have an occasional hobby. So that's also what I'm working on.
right.
Not everything has to be like a thing. You
Brand,
can
yeah.
just do things because you like them.
For fun, yeah. I personally love cooking content on TikToks. I'm like, if I can learn how to cook something in a minute versus sitting through like a 20-minute YouTube video for the same recipe, this is the pace I need to learn things.
Yes.
Who says scheduling tweets via buffer essentially gives Twitter an edit button if you catch your errors? Yeah, it gives you a little time to reflect, think things over, before it goes out. It's in
Yes.
buffer, but maybe before it hits, you have another idea or you go back and see it.
Typically, yeah. Or I'll rework the tone of it. So I think I schedule things very far out in advance. And
Mhm.
I think one thing I figured out was just, I was testing out some things.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that didn't work. That didn't work. Or that people like this, like this. And
Mhm.
I realized the things that people like are the ones that are just
Off the cuff.
me being me.
Yeah.
So that's now the strategy is just me being me. And so like I edited one the other day because I'm like, this is self promo. This isn't you. Getting
Mhm.
rid of this. And I reframed it to be, just about whatever. And,
Yeah.
it worked. So
Preach. Just be yourself. Those are the
mhm.
the best tweets, the best type of content. It's like when you overthink it, it's probably no
It's
longer gonna
probably not
send.
gonna do well. Cause I feel like even everybody like bitches about the I call them fortune cookie tweets. It'll be like
Yeah.
content is king or something like that.
So
But
profound.
right, but I do think some of them I like them. But
Yeah.
I feel like because even though it may be cookie cutter, like they're real, like I almost can feel the genuineness from Twitter. Like, yes,
Yeah.
I feel that too.
Yeah.
Versus I can kind of tell, I can feel you, trying to game the system.
Right. I actually tweeted about fortune cookie tweets the other day because I feel like, the more I learn about them, I'm like, I think I kind of write these and I don't want to be that person. But
But I
I
don't think you do. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, we'll throw in the Spice Girls every now and then. It's called balance.
Yeah,
But
but I also think like it's genuine. Like
yeah.
you might not be saying something that I've never heard before, but
Mhm.
when it comes, it's like, oh yeah, rejiggers the mind a little bit. So
Yeah.
even though we're all smart and probably all know crap, it's just
Mhm.
nice sometimes to be like, yes, let me recenter and
Mhm.
go back to the foundation. I like to joke around like when I'm actually being serious about my own marketing. Like
Yeah.
I'll tell one of my girlfriends who does communication as well. I'll be like, here Adrienne is acting like she does this for a living because when it comes to myself, it'll be like,
Mhm.
yeah. So
I mean, what I ended up tweeting about them was that if I tweet fortune cookie tweets, they're really just notes to myself. Like it's advice or things that I'm trying to make sure that I've learned or advice that I'm gonna follow. So I think that's how I'm trying to like continue to portray that genuine authenticity if I can, by just being like, I'm not preaching and saying you guys need to do this. If anything, I'm telling myself that I need to follow my own my own
right,
advice and
follow.
get my shit together.
Yeah, I think
Um,
we all need that. We all
Cody
need
says,
that.
yes, be yourself. We all have different and unique experiences. And that's why I love Twitter as well. It's like it's kind of like I feel like we're breaking down this stigma that you have to be a CMO or you have to have this certain credential or experience to have a perspective or experience that's worth
Or a certain
talking
amount
about and
of
learning from.
or
Mhm.
a certain amount of followers. I
Yeah,
think that's key too
get that.
because
Mhm.
I mean, I've been in both, positions of it was my job to
Mhm.
have a personal brand on Twitter
Yeah.
and go to Twitter chats and stuff. So then, of course, that's where I got the bulk of my followers because I would go to conference, like marketing conference, like almost one a month, maybe
Yeah.
every other month. So
Aw.
Oh, I was young, so I loved it. Like being in a hotel that I didn't have to pay for, conferences that I couldn't
Yeah.
afford on my own. So I was like happy. It's like it was 20s, Adrienne.
Yeah.
But versus other, I'm deep in the work. So it's like I
Mhm.
can't be keeping up with y'all all day.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean like, I know wonderful marketers that I work with routinely. They're not on Twitter,
Mhm.
you know?
Lou says that's what's great about social and emerging media. We can know way more about it than CMOs. Yeah. Yep. We're kind of on that ground level where we're still listening, we're still learning, we're not kind of up in the clouds, removed from it all. So we can prove valuable relevance quickly. Love this. Lou, I'm gonna have to get you on for a
I'm
pop-up
gonna
chat.
say Lou needs to be next.
I love all this.
I don't know what the calendar says, but I feel Lou needs to be on it.
Lou, next time, hop on the show. Um, but yeah, so this has been such a pleasure. You
This is
are
wonderful.
even more delightful than I thought you would be. I
Oh,
had
good.
high expectations, but I've just been smiling the whole time. And if I'm ever in DC or if you're ever in Florida and it's
What part
safe,
of Florida are you in?
I'm just outside Fort Lauderdale. It's a suburb called Coconut Creek.
Okay, my dad actually lives in Palm Beach,
Oh, okay. Yeah, not
so
far
I
off.
do
One
I
county
do
north.
come to Florida.
Well, when you come on down, yeah, we'll make it happen. We'll make sure to see each other and do something fun. Join forces.
I mean,
So
quite frankly, anything would be fun at this
right,
point because
right.
they're just been in my house. We have snow here,
Oh gosh.
So.
Well, it's bright and sunny, so if you're due for a trip, even if you have to drive, come on down. But this was such a pleasure.
It was great.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much
much.
for having me. And hopefully we get to maybe not live connect that
Yes.
some more because I would
Um,
love to hear more about you and what you're doing and all that kind
Good.
of stuff.
Hopefully, we'll get to connect maybe in 2022 for the Spice Girls reunion tour that they keep
I'm telling
teasing
you,
us
like
about.
I already have a number in my head of how high I can pay for a plane ticket, like what I'm willing to pay in my
Mhm.
mind. So when
Spice
I
Girls
see it,
fun.
I'm just literally hitting buy.
Yes. Yes. Well, make sure you tag me in that
I will
moment to
check
see it
as soon
before
as
I
it goes
do.
on. I don't know if we need
So,
someone to build us like a robot so it
yeah.
can buy the tickets for us. I know marketing Twitter, anyone in automation or something, help us.
Yes.
We
Yes.
we would love it.
Need the Google alert or something.
Something.
So, well, thanks, Adrienne. Thank you guys all for joining and for all the questions and comments. Really appreciate it. So, we'll see you next week. Sounds good. Bye.